Hey, I'm Paul, and welcome to another episode of How We Made This.
How We Made This.
That never gets old for me. This episode is concerning the latest single coming out, which is called Red Car. And it is completely different than episode 1, which was Love Again, which was a band in a room making a record. This started from a demo, and we kind of kept the bones of it and built it from there with the same band, which I think is very cool. So you have all the same players wearing completely different hats and creating what I think is a really fun, adds a lot of levity to the record, the full album, and just makes you want to dance. So, talking about dancing, let's go straight in to the drums, which are always at the heart of that. For this, like I said, we started at the demo. And I knew I was going to write the song for a long time, and I knew it was going to be upbeat and just kind of, I want to drive my car and have the windows down blaring this track. That's where we started. And from there, we went with the 4 on the floor feel. And I keep saying we, Matty Alger and I. He is a fantastic producer and just so good at understanding what I was bringing and what the goal was, which again was to make people move. So we started with the 4 on the floor thing, found the perfect kick. It only took about 4 hours, and then between that snare on 2 and 4, tail as old as time. But there's good subdivision with this arpeggiated thing that we created, and he's very keen on, if we're gonna create a sound, we're going to use an actual synth or an actual old school tool, and I really respect him for that. So it takes time, but it's so worth it in the end. Starts off with this arpeggiating thing under the piano, and then that is the bones. Here comes a silly clap, and then there's toms that replace it every other time. That is the track. I know it seems silly that it took us so long to get there, but the tones are so important, and it's just, getting a groove to move when it's not being played by a drummer, it takes time. So that was where we started. There's a really cool, this is the first time I've ever had a proper drop, I guess in the modern sense, and we used a Juno, which is a synth, to create air getting sucked out and then kind of whooshing back in. So lo-fi kick in the bridge. Lo-fi is just a band EQ getting it down. And then that arpeggiated synth stays through the entire track. It is just and then the air comes back. And then we're grooving again. And that never stops, ever. You just don't want, once you're in that place, you don't want to leave. So, moving on to the second thing that makes a track move is the bass. Probably the most important instrument. I'm going to go on record, maybe. The bass has an opportunity. So on the demo, I wrote a part that kind of had the bones of bump, dum ba, dum, bump, 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 bump. Bum bum, doom ba ba bum 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 bum, and that works. It's a busy part, but it's like those Motown records. And the magic that they had was James Jamerson, and my version of James Jamerson is Chris Croce, and he nailed it and created this just absolute. It's such a fierce part, and it's its own hook. But the reason it can be so busy is because the kick is staying here. And so the bass can move inside and out of it to make your body, instead of just robotically, it makes you kind of, this. So here's the bass part on its own. And it was actually cut in this room, which is kind of cool. Most of this track happened in this room or at the cabin, which is Maddie's place. So here's the bass. Little spank there? Oh God, spank it. That's the magic. So now you throw in the drums. Oh, you in your little red car. Woo! those vocals are bust somewhere that I forgot to get out of the bass track, but whatever. There's a little bit of vocal in there. So those are the bones of the track, and then harmonically, we get to guitar. I wrote it on guitar. I had this really intricate lick at first, trying like, oh, I'm gonna be clever. Oh, this is gonna be like a guitar thing. People are gonna want to learn it. It was absolutely groove busting, and I hated it. And I fought for it so long I couldn't figure out why the song sucked, and it turns out it was me. Which is usually the case when it comes to my music. I'm getting in the way of it. So I got out of the way and there's a part that's straight from, pause this right now and go listen to Prince's I Want to Be Your Lover. That's where that idea came from. I've always loved that song. I will always love that song. And I will always be trying to make that song. And that has the strings just going on the same with the kick. So the guitar is doing that as well with an octave kind of up in that register. And then the other guy is just like Mr. Groovy Town. He's off on the downbeat, and then he just plays this really cool kind of chunky thing. So, and I'll play the intro as well because it's a pentatonic lick. Through the whole song. And then here come the guitars to take. So I wrote the song on the guitar, kind of playing that, like that's where the lyric came, knowing it was going to have this kind of production. But those voicings and that particular, just like really squashed. Just the chords are a little dense, but the tone makes them so, like, it's mixed so well, and Ace Lutz mixed and did the whole record. We just plugged it directly into the board, and then had a house reverb. So you have the verb on the ba ba ba, and then this guitar is just kind of sitting inside. Off on the one, which allows the kick to just ba ba. So we'll build it from there. It almost has the same principle as the bass in that it can be a little funky and groovy while the kick just keeps your heart right there. So here's the bass. I mean, that was like, I probably over listened to that when we had it, even though like there's no lyric in the chorus other than Red Car, but I'm like, yeah, this is it. Like once I got out of the way playing licks and just did like the groove guy, this thing started to tick like a clock, and every element of this is playing something unique that fills one groove that makes it, you know, kind of this whole thing. This could be 4 or 5 different songs just based on what these parts are doing individually, and then they kind of come together and there's an alchemy of just like hip groove, which was always the goal. So moving on, I'm trying to think of any other guitars. There's a cool thing. It's actually not a guitar, it's called a ukulele, and it's a thing it's an old school instrument that you can play like in your lap with a bow. But if you use a guitar pick and you pitch it, I think I pitched it to D minor, just kind of tuned it up. It sounds like this. And it's got all these delays on it that hit always on the bridges. So it's on this guitar track as a guitar. It's not a guitar. It's kind of interesting, kind of cool. So that's where that part is. So moving on to the keys, and David Lukens played keys. I guess, but technically, if you want a secret, I played the piano on this track, and it was on a very kind of old baby grand that Maddie had at his studio, and I was like, yeah, we'll replace that later. Tried to replace it 100 times, never got it. If you're watching this and you're in the studio making records, trust yourself at the beginning. I promise you, your instincts are right and good. So, And once you start having like the first thing you cut to and you start cutting around it, you're probably not going to replace that thing. So save yourself a lot of time. So I guess technically I played this part. And then David came in and was just the sauce and the butter. That is a cheesy Hollywood string with a glockenspiel. And then here comes that's a Fender Rhodes mixed with a Juno patch with the filter kind of like, you can hear it's got its filter on. And then I'll take you to the chorus and you'll hear kind of where this work, like again, the keys in a lot of my music is helping define, I keep saying the harmony, but define like the chords and sitting within the lushness of what I think makes this music a little bit different in terms of its voicings. So the piano is very straightforward, and then the Rhodes have so much fun with synths. I am addicted clinically to synthesizers. I think they're so cool. You don't really hear that in the song, but it's kind of a cool little, again, ode to like Prince stuff. Another thing that's just brilliant in this is what David plays in the bridge. It's when the kick comes lo-fied. He started using a little bit of the lick that I had at the beginning that I hated and brought in this. Woo! Just so cool how that works, and I'll bring in the vocal here.
Get that matching ink, but when I really stop and think, your name is tattooed on my heart with no way to remove it.
It's just so nice. Like the song itself can kind of work a little as a ballad, and there might be something coming out kind of like that. But it's his playing is just so, again, I keep going back to the word like buttery. Or it's like this glue that just greases the wheel. That doesn't work. Glue can't grease a wheel. Glue can keep it together. Grease can make it taut. Whatever. Don't pay attention to anything I'm saying here. The horns. So the horns, same horn section. Jovan Qualo, Tyler Yeager, and Josh Scalf are on horns. And this is like it's a part I wrote on the demo, and I just kind of asked them to make it sound real. There's a synth in there with it. Nice little sax lick in the middle. Oh, I love the sound of that room. So yeah, this is... And then Jovan Qualo. There is an art form to playing a solo and making it singable and poppy, and just instead of like going too far out saying no, like I'm not hijacking the track, I'm just taking it to a totally new level. And this just blew me away. I tried guitar solos, I tried synth solos, and once Jovan played that, I was like, okay, cool, now we're there, we don't have to worry about it. Other than that, the background vocals play a huge part on the choruses when it comes to how they feel like they soar and kind of get to this.
Driving around in your red car.
There's a pad of me, it's all me going.
Driving around red car.
The part is really like the harmony itself that's directly with the lead. Kind of breaks a couple rules just to make sure that it stays completely out of the way. And then there's this pad that kind of takes us off. So maybe with just like guitars.
Red around in your red car, your red car, oh baby. Your red car, your red car, oh baby, yeah.
So you have all of these things coming together at different times to create what I think is a really fun, dancey track that feels very human, which of course is always the goal. And I'm thrilled about it. Like I said, I think it provides some jollity to a somewhat of a dense record thematically. And it's just supposed to be fun and nostalgic and ridiculous. And I think we really got it. And I'm just, again, proud to play with these guys, proud to be able to make it. And yeah, this is the record. If you're curious about the tracks, you can download them. And there was a comment on the last video. The vocal is recorded by a U67. And then it goes through a Trident board, Tube Tech.
Tell me, do you still drive that red car? The one we both know the backseat of so well.
And those delays are kind of set up to at different points if there's space enough. Like this one doesn't have as much space as the
place to park. The window shut, they're fogging up, and everyone outside can tell. Got pulled over going 90. It was so late, I could have
So slow, there's a slow delay and there's a fast delay that kind of works. Again, Ace is a genius and stuff like that. So yeah, I just added another minute to the video for no reason. But thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll keep doing them if you keep watching them, I guess. Love ya. Bye.